If you have ever tried to build a tiny model or fix a delicate piece of jewelry and realized your standard workshop tools are just way too bulky, you know the struggle. This little 4-in-1 setup is trying to solve that exact problem by cramming a saw, a sander, an engraver, and a drill into one footprint that barely takes up any space on a desk. It is surprisingly dense when you first pull it out of the box, and that aluminum alloy top feels like it can actually take a bit of a beating. What is interesting here is the dual motor setup. Most of these compact tools force you to choose one function at a time, but this one lets you run the cutting blade and the engraving shaft independently. It is a smart touch because it means you are not wearing out the motor you are not currently using, and it adds a layer of safety that feels pretty necessary when you are working with something this small. The height adjustment is smooth enough, letting you dial in that blade depth up to 16 millimeters, which is plenty for thin hobby wood or acrylic sheets. You can even tilt the table up to 90 degrees, which is a lifesaver for those tricky miter cuts that usually require a much larger, more expensive machine. Now look, it is not going to replace a full-sized cabinet saw, and you shouldn't expect it to. The motor power is great for crafts, but if you try to push a thick piece of hardwood through it too fast, it will definitely let you know it is struggling. The accessory kit is honestly the real highlight. Getting over 100 parts included right out of the gate means you can go from cutting a PCB to sanding down a rough edge or engraving a detail without having to hunt for extra bits. The transparent guard is a nice thought for keeping dust out of your eyes, though it does get a bit cloudy after a while, which is a minor annoyance. One thing to keep in mind is that because it is so lightweight, you might want to clamp it down if you're doing anything that requires a steady hand. Otherwise, it has a tendency to scoot around the table. It is a niche tool, for sure, but for anyone deep into DIY crafts or miniature modeling, it is a surprisingly capable little workhorse that manages to pack a lot of utility into a very small package. It is not perfect, but for the price and the sheer versatility, it is hard to argue with what it brings to the workbench.
Check out the video description for updated price. And thank you for watching this video.